As you can see, we lost another legend of the wrestling business over this past week, and man, it's we hate starting off shows like this with this kind of news, but Kevin Sullivan, indeed a legend of the business, a man who once referred to himself as the Prince of Darkness himself, and had some legendary feuds over his career. The one I remember the most, I think, is of course with Dusty Rhodes. But he had been fighting cancer, I believe, for a good while, and unfortunately, this past week has passed away. So a staple of this business, a legend of this business, and many of the things that we love today, that you guys all love today, the stuff that Bray does, and of course the Wyatt Six, a lot of that supernatural stuff that you see happening today wouldn't have been possible without Kevin Sullivan. And, I've heard The Undertaker talk about him. I've heard many wrestlers talk about him that kind of do those kind of gimmicks. But absolute legend in the business. So obviously our thoughts, our prayers go out for his family and his friends. And I remember Bully Ray talking about him quite a bit, saying that he tried to call him as much as he could and stay in touch and stuff like that. But it got to a point where he was in the hospital and wasn't able to do that. So it's a sad day. Jeff, I'm sure you have some memories of him. Now, before we get going a little bit, guys, I just want to let you know, Jeff is not on camera because he's plugging away here. He's not feeling well. He's actually dealing with COVID. So I just want to let you guys know that. And another reason why we're not going to have as long of a show as we normally do. We're not going to stay as long. We're going to make it a little bit abbreviated and stuff like that. We're going to cut off some things, just because I want to make sure Jeff gets rest and stuff like that. So yeah, Jeff. Obviously you don't have to talk very long, but if you've got any special memories you remember, obviously you probably have more memories of Kevin Sullivan than I do.
Well, I just remember him in his days with Woman and so many different people in WCW, and just all of the different feuds, like you said, that he had. And I will say that Kevin Sullivan walked so people like Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt Six could run. His contributions to the business will forever be remembered. And he was absolutely a legend. So yeah, definitely a huge loss in the wrestling community. We lose another legend. So yeah, definitely want to keep his family and all of his friends and everyone that he touched over the years with his art. Keep them in our prayers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. So yeah, we're here for Between the Ropes. And it's unfortunately Jeff is a little under the weather and stuff, but we are going to have a show. We're not going to stay around as long as we normally do. We're going to skip some segments and stuff. But we will do like the normal stuff. We'll give you the news. We'll do we'll do a few of the other segments, and then we'll get on out of here. So, okay. First off, business here coming up. We have, of course, Fireflies Forever on Tuesday, and that's been just absolutely amazing. The stuff with the Wyatt Six coming off their very first match, and I'm sure we'll see more on Raw on Monday. So join us on Tuesday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that, and then of course TNA. Which has been fantastic. Last 2 weeks been can't miss. And so join us for that as well. Thursday night at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for TNA. All right. That is going to do it for our schedule. Let me just welcome some people in and we'll get started with our show. We've got Brandon Wayne Lewis is here. Derek is here. Hello. He's on the talent to Omaha. May catch y'all later. Jeremy Dunderman, hello Jeremy, and thank you for being a member of our channel. Clown is here. We've got Hassan is here. Dylan, Tazzy's here. What's up, Tazzy? How are you? Hello, Chris Gilly. How are you doing? Hope you're well. Brandon is here. Bonus Baby is here. Happy 12th birthday to my granddaughter. Wow. Right? I've fallen asleep halfway through everything wrestling this weekend, so I hope you discuss a lot of stuff in the first half of wrestling show, says Barry Monkey from Twitch. Hello. Andrew Stevens, hello to you. We have people wishing Jeff well. Andrew is doing that. Bonus Baby, Kevin Sullivan, Dungeon of Doom was so cheesy, but it worked somehow. The Master, Sullivan, my son. Okay. All right, guys. That is who's here. If anybody else joins, I will say welcome now, and then we'll move on. So, Jeff, I guess we will start with the news. Yeah, no real breaking news, I don't think. I'm trying to think if there's anything going on breaking news wise that we don't have included in our news. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of it is going to be just stuff that we're going to talk about anyway. In the contents of the actual news. What do you guys all have? Have you heard anything big in the last few days? I haven't really been watching a lot of wrestling Twitter over the past couple of days, so I normally scan that kind of stuff. But I had a shower for my oldest daughter. Her wedding is going to be in September. So I was at that yesterday, and then the day before I was working and planning and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys know any little news clips or tidbits or anything that's been floating around out there, let us know. I haven't really heard anything like crazy in the last 2 days, at least. Anyway, the Wyatt match 6 was great. Yeah, was really good. We talked about it all on the Fireflies Forever show, which I'm sure we'll do this week again as well. SGW turned out to be a total scam. This clown. Well, that's not good. Scams are bad. Okay. All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have anything breaking, Jeff. So I guess we'll just go right to our first category. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to it. So the OTC, not over the counter, but the original tribal chief has returned.
Yeah, this is obviously we saw this at the end of the last pay-per-view, and we got to see more of this throughout SmackDown. SmackDown was very short. Well, not short, but they only had, I think it was, I want to say 3 matches. I might be wrong. It might be 4, but I think it was 3 or 4 matches. So very small in scope with matches. But this is kind of what took over the show. And with Solo Sikoa waiting for him and all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, Roman came out and just demolished Solo, was almost able to get that. I forget that thing he wears, what the necklace that he wore when he was tribal chief is called, but he almost got his hands on it. But then the rest of Solo's guys there were able to come in and get it. So this is going to be big. Obviously, he's coming after Solo, and a lot of people were kind of wondering, whether he would go after Cody and say something about Cody, or whether he would just go into this with Solo. So it looks like we're going to be getting a bloodline civil war of some type, I would think, which may happen at Bad Blood, maybe between Roman and Solo, may continue through Survivor Series. Maybe we get a War Games match. between Roman, of course, and I would think Jay and Jimmy Uso, and who knows who would help him out. Maybe Cody would be involved in that. Maybe Sami Zayn would get involved in that. I'm not sure. And to take on Solo's bunch. So this is going to have long ramifications. This is going to be a long-term story. And I think the people who were waiting for the Cody stuff, I think you put that on the back burner for a little bit. That's going to come to pass. There will come a day when Roman will say, you owe me a favor, my friend. I saved your ass. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have won that match with Solo. So you owe me something. And, Jeff, whenever a gangster movie person in that says you owe me, they come calling at some point in time.
Yeah, you got to pay up at some point. So, yeah, I mean, and isn't it funny how on this channel it was mentioned that at one point everybody was just hating Roman, right? Yep. They just hated him, hated his guts, and it was all about, hey, he's held the belt for too long. And listen, I won't disagree with that, but I think we said, Joe, that when he came back, that he would get cheers, and yep. We're going to talk about this in another segment, but the pops that Roman has gotten since returning have been absolutely insane. So good for Roman. But it shows the work that he did when he was just mowing through everybody. But yeah, he's gonna have to he's gonna have to collect some payment pretty soon. And I think it's pretty interesting that Jacob Fatu, I know he had the injury, and if my voice were better than it was, that would have been my grievance. One of my grievances. I had like 3 this week, but that was going to be one of my grievances, is just that I legitimately didn't know if he was I didn't know if he was actually hurt. Now, thanks to Fightful, and I'm being somewhat facetious, but thanks to Fightful, we know that it was a planned spot. I kind of wish that we didn't know that, because it would have left the intrigue, and it would have let that go on a little bit. You could kind of guess as to what was going to happen, but watch out for Jacob Fatu and who his allegiance lies with.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, and exactly, like what is all the agendas for all these people? Like, I mean, Solo went out and recruited a bunch of people, but they everyone kind of always has their own agenda. And again, we refer back to like the gangster storyline and that kind of thing that you talk about. And like I said, this is an absolute sequel to a movie like The Godfather, right? Where, the Godfather is taken out, right? Someone younger comes in and takes him out, but then the Godfather always returns, right? Always comes back and ends up finding out that, maybe that new group isn't as tight as everybody kind of thought they were. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And Jeff's point about Roman, to be able to come back and go from being a heel that everybody booed. I mean, my gosh, the guy, when he said "acknowledge me," got booed out of the building. To having everybody saying we want Roman he's a pretty special guy and a pretty good wrestler that he could just do that on a dime now. So I mean, look, the bloodline thing is going to heat up again. I know there've been some people that have given some, I'm not too sure. I want to see. It's going to happen again, and now we're going to get this whole inside Civil War type thing. And remember, these aren't the only pieces to the puzzle. Again, Roman will have people on his side. I'm sure it will be Jay and Jimmy at some point. Jimmy might be the first. We haven't seen him in forever, but I'm sure Roman will get people on his side. And then you got to wonder, when he does decide to come back. Now, he's got a pretty full slate of movies and stuff coming out, but when The Rock decides to make his way back, we know he has a big grudge against Cody, but whose side is he going to be on? Who does he side with? during this. And maybe some people even said, could he be behind a lot of the stuff going on behind the scenes? Maybe we'll see. We'll see. So it's an interesting thing. The storyline continues. And remember, guys, Paul Heyman said we're only in the third inning. That didn't necessarily need to mean that we're only in, and I think people assume this, that he meant we're in the third inning as to him and Cody. That was just part of the whole baseball game. So they've got a lot more to do here. I think you might be looking at fourth, fifth inning here. I think they have a long way to go. So yeah, good on Roman. Of course, there you see his brand new merch out there. You want that OTC shirt? You can go get that in WWE shop. And the silhouette of Roman on the back, which is kind of cool. So neat shirt, actually. But yeah, all right, let's see what he's the only one I acknowledge. So Jeff, OG Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0 at Survivor Series War Games. It could very well be. Chris says first time Roman has been cheered as a face outside of the Shield. Let's see here. Bloodline versus New Bloodline at War Games. I would be kind of surprised at this point if that wasn't a thing. And again, it may be Bloodline and Friends, because he may need, if he against that group there, he's going to need some more people. And if he has just himself, Jimmy and Jay, might need a few more. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it would be Cody Rhodes, who helps him out at that point. So, no insult to Solo, as I like him, but Jacob Fatu just seems like a better version of Solo. It's about to turn into American Me with Roman telling Solo, "Don't look at me, little puppet," as he chokes him out. I love Roman's new theme. Hey, Conrad, how you doing? EPW says Andrew Stevens. Conrad, my good man, hope all is well, says Clown. And yeah, all right, cool. So that's the Roman stuff, and it's big news. It's big news. It's all over the place, and obviously the Bloodline is now again, as if it ever wasn't, the thing to watch on SmackDown. So, Jeff, any other thoughts, or should we move on?
I would just say that I think, and I know we're going to talk about him more in Sell or No Sell, but I think this might be the best version of Roman, aside from what we just got over the past 4 years. But I think this version of Roman is going to be something special. Like, I think the revenge angle, the kind of payback angle, that kind of thing, I think Roman's going to absolutely knock this out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, he's playing a character, right, that doesn't even need a title. I don't think he needs a title. He's playing for the rights to be in charge of his family and stuff like that. So, for those people who are out there, they're like, oh, when, are they going to give him a title right away? I don't think so. I don't think he needs it. I really don't. All right, moving on, Jeff. What do we got next?
All right. Seth, is Seth injured again?
It has been reported by several sources, who I need not name, that Seth Rollins might be taking some time off. Well, it kind of makes sense storyline wise. They, of course, that whole big, huge attack from the big, huge man, Bronson Reed, does look like it would have been something that they may have used to kind of write him off the show for a little bit. Made it look real serious. Obviously, the blood and everything coming out of his mouth when he was taking those slams from Big Bronson. So I don't know. Like, I know I've seen people on Twitter saying, don't believe it. It's so-and-so saying it. But one of the things I've learned sometimes about that kind of thing is that where there's smoke, there's fire. And there has been a lot of smoke with this. Now, it could all be just a storyline, and it could be that they're just giving him some time off for the Bronson injuries and stuff like that. But they did say he's still kind of banged up, and I could see that. Look, he wrestled for the better part of a year straight, taking all comers on when he was the champion on Raw. And, look, Seth has been wrestling for years and years, and it's not like he's, he hasn't been around long. So I can certainly see that maybe the knee might be giving him a little bit of issues, I know when mine acts up, it doesn't act up all the time, but sometimes when you mess around with it or you're doing some stuff, you could tweak it a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know whether to not necessarily believe this. Like I said, wherever the reports come from, they come from. They could, people could have just assumed that it was because of the Bronson Reed thing, and they wanted to just be out for a while until he comes back to face him, which could be at Bad Blood or it could be at the pay-per-view coming up in Germany. But yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't believe it. That he is injured again. It's a shame because obviously he was out for a while with the knee thing, and he had the shoulder injuries and stuff like that too. So hopefully it's just maybe it's a little bit of both. And Jeff, you can tell me whether you agree with me and not. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe he's doing it for the storyline for Bronson, but maybe he also is just a little bit banged up and can use a little bit extra time off.
I think just kind of talking about Seth a little bit. You could, I don't know. I don't even know if it's an argument. For me, Seth has been the MVP of that company for quite a while, especially over the last year or so. Just what he's done from a match standpoint, what he's done to put others over, what he did to put over the World Heavyweight Championship. So people like Gunther now having it and Damian Priest previously. So that's a prestigious belt. He did that, in my opinion. I don't think anyone else would have been able to establish a new belt as well as he did. And I don't know that he's ever. I don't know that when he returned, he did so at 100%. I don't know that any wrestler is ever 100%, honestly. So I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. I think it is partially because Seth is just a workhorse and has been injured for quite some time, and it takes time. I mean, it's not like Seth is a spring chicken in terms of wrestling mileage. But I think there's also a possibility that having a match against someone like Bronson Reed and showing his brutality and physicality might be another way to put him over and really ramp up the threat of someone like Bronson Reed and what they can do to someone like Seth. So I think it's a little bit of both, but if his rest, let the man get his rest. Don't rush him back. I think WWE needs him, but I think they need him well, and they don't need him. They don't need him to be injured in the long run. They got to have him around so he can really do some more dynamic stuff. So I think it's a little bit of both at this point. I think he's doing it because I think he is legitimately injured and needs rest, but I also think it could be a way for him to be a company guy and put the next guy over.
Yeah. That segment was interesting to me a little bit. And not just for the fact that, I was surprised, number one, to see that Bronson Reed came down. I was surprised about that. Obviously, he made a comment earlier in the night, so he kind of hinted at it, but I was surprised to see it. But the other thing that surprised me was the fans in the arena. The fans in the arena kept saying one more time. Like, that was surprising to me. Like, this guy is supposed to be like mega baby face, like so beloved by people. And, and the fact that he got, the people were like cheering for Bronson to keep doing that was a little weird to me. Like, I was a little surprised by it. I know people get into that kind of thing, and listen, we've all got that little that streak in us that likes to see violence. But I just thought it was a little weird. And he also, like, he came out in an outfit, if I remember correctly, that almost looked like he was wearing all black. He almost looked like a black cowboy, like an old style black cowboy with the tassels and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like, I honestly, obviously Bronson is definitely the heel here. I think I do agree with Jeff in the fact that, now Bronson needed something like this. He needed someone to put him over. We know how good Bronson Reed is. Jeff and I watched him when he was in Impact, and he was a freaking force. We're just sad to see him go. But obviously, they haven't really been using him for very much. He had that good program that he did with the Viking Raider. I forget which Viking Raider he was doing the matches against, but that was a pretty good program. But he really hasn't had like anything really, really big to get him into. Well, now he does. And, you know, the thing was, I got swerved with this because I really thought that Seth and Punk were going to go at it. When he came out, I'm like, oh, here we go. And that this is, but it looks like they are going to wait on that. And maybe that's, who knows, that could be waited on until next Rumble. It could be waited on until next Mania even for that, because that's huge. But yeah, I agree with Jeff's points here. I think that he put a guy over in Bronson Reed who desperately needed something like that to happen, to make people really consider him. People are calling him are talking about the moves he made, all those splashes and stuff like that. And obviously it did. It reminded me a lot of Earthquake, tsunami splashes. That's what it reminded me of when he, back, oh my God, was it Hogan? Yeah, I think it was back when he took out Hulk Hogan back in the day. Like, I remember watching that, and I remember being shocked. Like Hogan, and it was a very similar thing, if my memory serves me right. But Hogan was just laid out, and seeing him laid out when he was like big hero Hulk Hogan was kind of crazy. So yeah, I look, whatever it is, if he is banged up, like Jeff said, I 100% agree. Go home, get some rest. And the other thing we have to remember, guys, is his wife and daughter used to travel with him. Becky and his child used to travel. He used to have a bus, and Becky's at home. So, now it makes it where he's not seeing them that much. And, you want to be there with your kids. So however it turns out, I think it's good. And again, like Jeff said, he's a very important piece. However he decides to go, if he just does decide to, who knows? They may have to gauge that CM Punk thing, whether or not, because the crowd loves Punk, man. They will cheer him no matter what. And so they might have to gauge that. And maybe Seth takes offense to the crowd cheering for him, and maybe he does make a heel turn. And I always thought he was better as a heel anyway. So I'm okay with if doing something like that too. But again, I'm good with what Jeff said. I think he's 100% right. Let him have his rest. Let him take his time, because he is, he's essential to Raw and essential to a lot of these storylines. Jeff, anything else?
That's it for this one. Okay,
let me see what we got in comments here real quick. I always love in wrestling that it takes 6 tsunamis for 17 people to say, hey, let's just get Seth out of the ring. See, Bonus, I like that, actually. I liked all the commentary with that. I love how they went into the ring and they got scared back out of it whenever because none of them wanted to get in his way. When he was up on top rope, no one was going to dive on top of Seth and make a pile on. No one's going to do that. So to me, that was okay. I was all right with that. And Michael Cole doing what he was doing was like panicking because, hey, you're just trying to be like, hey, get some help down here. That's a classic wrestling thing. The announcers used to do that a lot back in the day. Oh my God, get help down here, and I'm sure they probably did it when Hogan got splashed by Earthquake. That many times they probably did the same damn thing. The announcers probably were saying, get help down here, get an ambulance, blah, blah, blah. I'm good with that. Embellish it and make it stick. And of course, Seth with the blood and everything, I thought it was done well. I thought it was done really well. It's great to see Bronson Reed we saw on TNA and WWE. I agree. Chris says, I also think it serves the purpose of keeping Seth away from Punk right now while his feuds with Drew, building to a Mania match of Seth versus. Yeah, I would think so. Hello, Sapphire. Hey, Gus. People love violence. So everyone slows down to see an accident on the road. It could be. I'm just surprised that it was against Seth. If it was anyone else, I wouldn't have been surprised. But the fact that they love him and sing his song all the time and everything like that. But I don't know, man. They turn on you in a dime. In a dime. It's crazy. Fans were cheering that Bronson finally got something other than a 3. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that Bronson was that beloved, but I don't know. Maybe. But yeah. All right, Jeff, if you don't have anything else, we can go on then.
All right. So I know we talked about this on Fireflies Forever, but I thought it was so awesome that we need to talk about it again this evening. That's the Wyatt 6 in-ring debut.
Here's the part in the chat where you all get to talk about Wyatt 6. I know a lot of time, a lot of you do come to Fireflies, but for those of you who don't, let us know what your feelings are about this match and about the whole event last Monday, which was had flashbacks to Bray and all that kind of stuff, and then this happened. So let us know what your thoughts are if you didn't get a chance to share them on Fireflies Forever. But recapping kind of what I said, and of course Jeff will give you his thoughts too. I thought it was done absolutely perfectly. They had the show, the tributes, they showed the flashbacks and stuff like that, the moments, and then of course when they came out of course, when the chair made the arrival in there and the Fireflies all in the background. And of course, when the song came on, something is big when they show multiple streamers. There's a person who does videos out there. One day I'll remember the name and give them credit, but they do video streamer clips. So streamers and stuff that were showing the stream that night. And like when a lot of them were kind of getting a little choked up and a little hard to talk. Because some of them getting teary-eyed when then they heard that, and then they heard Shatter start to play, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, are they really playing Shatter?" That was just amazingly done. I didn't know that they would do that. I didn't really think they would, to be honest. I didn't know they'd use the same song. And then, of course, coming down, the match itself, they looked amazing. All of them. Dexter Lumis, I think, stole the show for me within the match. But, Eric Rowan and the things he did in the ring, I was impressed with. I didn't know what kind of shape Eric would be in and stuff. And he's banged up. He's a ring veteran. He's got injuries that nag him and stuff. And Joe Gacy really looked very menacing and looked really good in that ring too. So, and all the moves they did, the double Uranagis, all that stuff. And then, of course, the ending of the match. And then, of course, how Howdy just sat outside in the chair, very Bray-esque and stuff when the Wyatts came out. And this is the thing, and Bonus Baby's alluding to the the kiss to heaven. Yeah, it's another tear-jerking moment, when they did that in tribute to, of course, the late Brody Lee. I just think it was beautifully done. I really do. The other thing, and I hope I don't hear this or see this anywhere out there in the socials at all. I better not see, this is, this is too supernatural. And they weren't supernatural at all. At all. Yes, you have the Howdy sitting out on the outside with the lantern. He had Nikki kind of kneeling in front of him, but they did not use any supernatural gimmicks. They didn't do any of that kind of stuff at all. So that nobody can come out and bitch about that and say, "Oh, this is hokey. They, too much supernatural." They didn't do that. And that leads me to believe that this is truly another coming of the actual Wyatt family. And that's why you had Howdy sitting in the chair. Howdy didn't interfere. He didn't come in. He didn't throw anything in there. He didn't do anything else to make lights go out or anything like that. He didn't interfere. He sat in the chair, just like Bray did. And so I thought it was chef's kiss. I thought it was perfectly done. I don't think they could have done that any better. They look tremendous. They are menacing. They look like they're going to be a force. Gacy and Loomis look like they maybe could be a tag team going forward and stuff like that. But very, very well done, Jeff. And I know we talked about it on Fireflies, like you said.
Yeah. I thought it was extremely well done. Love the fact that they built the show around them.
Yeah.
And did callbacks to Bray's time in Baltimore and the significance of that. So I thought it was good overall. The performances in the ring, and again, I know we mentioned this last Tuesday, but if we fast forward 6 months and you tell me that Gacy and Loomis are in the tag division, would not surprise me. And if they did the free bird rules thing and all three of these guys kind of switched in and out depending on who they're facing as a tag team, would not surprise me at all. I'm down. I'm down for it. I love it. Um, this is the kind of stuff that that I really enjoy. And I know we talked about Kevin Sullivan earlier, but there's so many different people that he influenced, and I felt like seeing this, and especially thinking about it now, like you could see kind of his inspiration throughout this. So I really enjoyed this as a Brave fan. This was very touching. Hearing Shatter um, was it just I don't think I've heard it in full since Bray passed, and it was special. So really good to see the group and again see Howdy to see Howdy out there just kind of sitting in the rocking chair and to see Nikki out there with him. That was cool. So yeah, I thought it was an awesome in-ring debut.
Many of us thought that when Bray was going to do this and stuff, that perhaps they would get sung out to the ring by Code Orange. Well, maybe that still can be a thing. Whenever these guys come out on a major pay-per-view, and it might be something that they still might do. That was apparently something that I think even the band had mentioned. So who knows? Maybe might be something that we'll get. But I think this has been really well done. And Chris Gilly, who's in the chat, of course, and he's on Fireflies Forever. He's on with us and myself and Jeff every week. Had mentioned on the show too that I just totally lost my train of thought. Don't get old. I was going somewhere with that. I'll probably remember it in a second. But anyway, yeah. And look, it's been done extremely well. And there, anybody who's complaining about it, they're doing it for clicks because there's really nothing. And I've even heard the naysayers that, Busted Open was on them for the longest time. They thought the Bray Mountain Dew match was hokey and terrible and all that kind of stuff. So, but even they had to come out and applaud it. Tommy Dreamer had nothing but great things to say about it after it was over, and I don't certainly see why anyone else would either. And so, yeah, I think it's been great. The writers, whoever is all in charge of this, they're doing an absolutely tremendous job with it. So. Let's see what everybody had to say here. Eric Rowan's, yeah. And the Kiss to Heaven, hot damn. Wyatt 6 debut was incredible. Bray and Brody both smiling from heaven. The lantern on the chair in the middle of the ring got to me, says Mark. In fact, they kind of built a show around it. Was amazing. I hope the Creeds eventually recover from being in this feud. The 6 in the ring was outstanding. I love the pop for Rowan. Super cool. Well, it is hokey, but that's wrestling. But Cole also putting over that these guys believe they're the characters, i.e. Joe Gacy believes he is Huskus. I'd like to see Gacy as the mid-card guy going to the IC and Rowan and Dexter as the tag team. I don't think Uncle Howdy needs a world championship, but what about Gacy and Loomis? I think pump the brakes on that. I don't think they need to be champions right away. Maybe somewhere down the road, but I'm saying a little farther down the road. I don't think they need championships at all. Look, the Wyatts got them eventually. And I, like I said, I agree with Jeff in the fact that I do believe that they're good enough to do that. And we'll see. I think they need the right team to go against, and hopefully it'll fit with their theme of going after people who betrayed families. I did say on Fireflies that I do think that Gacy and Loomis, along with Nikki Cross, and maybe if Rowan is like Jeff was saying, like Freebird style. But I think those are going to be your primary 4 people who are going to be in the ring. Nikki, obviously, there's a tease possibly of who she may be going after in the women's division. When we saw that little symbol above, that was Dakota Kai, I think, Jeff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we may have gotten a little tease already with that. And we all know what Dakota Kai did, right? She betrayed her family. So I could certainly see that happen. But I don't know. I honestly, right now at least, I don't know that Howdy will wrestle. He may just be playing that Bray role. And again, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. So, Jeff, any final thoughts?
No, that's it, man. That's it.
All right. Well, I think we got everything.
Yeah.
I sneezed once and blew up my back. Wow, that's not good. Okay. All right. So moving on. Let's go forward then with the next topic.
Yeah. So this one is really a class participation question, because I honestly don't know, because last week of work kicked my butt, obviously. So I need to know from people, is this a storyline or is this legit?
Yeah, Conrad in the chat can probably clear a lot of this up too. I did read about it. I heard that there was something going on where she was in the women's locker room and she was saying things about MJF. It was overheard by MJF's girlfriend, who I believe, now again, I may be wrong here. Is that Alicia Atout? Oh, yeah. That is his. Is that who?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So apparently,
by the way, you should go back. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Yeah. You should go back and listen to some of his previous interviews with her.
Oh, okay.
We started dating, and he's just MJF. That's all you can say.
That's right. But apparently she overheard, and she went back and she told MJF. So that's what I read. And again, I don't even know what the source was that I got that from, but that's what I read about. And then hearing that she was suspended. So that's, I think, what I want to see if it's cleared up. Conrad said sounds legit, and details are debated. So what I want to know is she currently now suspended? Because then I read something where no, she's not suspended anymore. But that was talking a little more about a storyline with the Elite, like that they did something to her, that they suspended her or not. So is she still suspended? Okay, Brandon is saying yes, Clown saying yes, and it feels legit. Though Britt and MJF spoke outside of the locker room. So I guess the answer is, I guess maybe we're not sure. It could be a storyline of some sort. I don't really know why they'd have Britt and MJF though as a storyline together doing this. Doesn't seem like okay, it says debated. We don't know at first when Mercedes said it. Wow. Yeah, and then they were talking to the interviews I saw that came from other women was mostly Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo was the one who happened to talk about it. And mention what went on. I guess she was in the locker room or wherever it was when it first happened. So she was the one who ended up telling a lot of people the story about this. But it's kind of crazy. Like, who is telling this to sites? Yeah, that's the question you have to answer yourself with everything, right? Like, who tells people this crap? You know, like it could be a person who works in the arenas who's getting money from someone else. It could be who even knows. That's why I said it is so hard to hide stuff when there's surprises and spoilers, because they get word out from all these people who could be a janitor in the arena for all we know. Like who even knows? Like, but what this does is it just fuels fires, and it could have been something that, you know, listen, this. If she did say something that was out of sorts or out of character, and then, you know, MJF got pissed and he confronted her about it and they got into it, and then, you know, she instigated whatever, then it would, I guess, serve her right. Just in the whole behind the scenes type thing. And see, again, to Conrad's point, this is something 10 years ago we would never have heard about. We would never have heard about it. We wouldn't have seen her on TV for a little bit. But we would never have known. We would not have known why. We would have thought, well, maybe she's injured or maybe she's gone. We wouldn't have heard about all this. Now we're just in the time where everybody needs to know everything and everybody finds out everything on Twitter and wherever else. And, you know, it just gets out there. So I don't know. I don't know. If it is true, I certainly hope it doesn't take her away from that match that's coming up for her, because that was going to be a pretty big one against, of course, against Mercedes Moné. So hopefully that's not that, but I don't know. But yeah, Jeff, I don't know what I don't know what you make of all this. Like I said, you and I was almost in the same boat. I kind of just saw this and read a little bit about it, and that was really all I heard. But I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, honestly, and Conrad, we're actually going to talk about that next. So, so you're right on. But I'll say it like this: if it is legit and it's not storyline, um, I'm old enough to remember not too long ago Mark Henry bringing up a very valuable point when CM Punk was um, making his exit from the company and how ugly that was, and he brought up the point. Well, that means that once he's gone, there won't be any of this stuff left because he was the problem. He was the issue. So all the leaks, all that stuff was going to stop, because that stuff doesn't matter anymore. So I think if you're in the locker room and if this is legit, and I keep saying if because there are conflicting reports, but if it is legit, I think you got to look around and be like, who's recording stuff? Who's sitting there looking like they're taking notes or something, waiting on somebody to go back to? Because this helps no one, in my opinion. Regardless of what people say, all news isn't good news, and all press isn't good press. As someone who works in the marketing and public relations field, I can tell you that I'd much rather, for my job, let's say, I'd much rather have a good story come out than have to go to the press and defend a bad one. That's just the nature of the business. So, approaching it from that standpoint, not my wrestling fandom standpoint, um, be be mindful of this stuff and have conversations with your folks. And if you're a locker room leader there, you got to realize that fair or unfair, you've gotten a lot of negative press for various reasons. Like I said, fair or unfair, but um I don't know. I just feel like this stuff doesn't really help anyone. If it is now, bonus baby, I think brought up the point that if it is story, then they do have Adam Cole in common, which is true. Um, so I'm hoping that it's more storyline than people just um running out to tell these let me think of a nice way to put this because I don't want to use my COVID as a reason to be a jerk. Um, these media outlets, I'll say that was pretty nice. But don't you got to tell folks like, listen, not everything needs to go to these media outlets because it's not really helping at all. Like so, let's pump the brakes on some of that. But again, I don't want to say too much because again, we don't know exactly. And as long as there are conflicting reports, until things are confirmed, I don't want to go too hard in the paint. But what I will say is if it is legit and you got a leak in your locker room, I just you got to put a stop to that because again, stuff like this, let's just be honest, okay? Stuff like this goes on in every wrestling company. But there are some wrestling companies where we find out about the good, bad, and the ugly. And some of that is because of the PR machines behind some of these companies. I'll go ahead and say it. WWE, if you're a fan of wrestling, you think that this kind of crap doesn't happen in WWE, where there's shouting matches, where there's people getting pissed off, where there's fights, that kind of stuff. If you think it doesn't happen, I got some property to sell you. And you know my saying, if you've been watching this channel long enough, um, this kind of stuff happens everywhere. But the difference is there are locker room leaders in different places, but there's also PR machines. Like WWE is definitely a PR machine that's behind that. I'm sure they get PR training and that kind of thing. But other places you don't hear about it much either. So again, if you got a leak, fix it, talk to folks. But I don't want to hear bad stuff is going to happen. There's always negative around whatever, but I'm tired of hearing about negativity when it comes to AEW, honestly.
Yeah, and negativity leads to things like this, which people were mentioning Cody in the chat, and I wondered why. When you look up Britt Baker, Britt Baker accused of driving Cody Rhodes out of AEW. So see, this is what it is. Fire leads to more fire or bigger fires. And like Jeff was saying, this not only just happens in wrestling locker rooms, this happens in everyone's occupations. Everyone's. There is always, you could be in a workplace that you think is wonderful, and there are probably always going to be 2 or 3 individuals that are talking about you behind your back. This is just how it is. Unless you've worked in places that everybody's just in harmony. Maybe you worked in like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and everybody's just joyous and happy. I don't know, but this happens everywhere. Every workplace, people get into spats. People talk about people behind their back. It's just like Jeff said, how people quell the fires. Who does it go to before someone says, that's none of my business and I don't want to hear about it anymore? Who is the person that is going to stop it? That's the thing. And if it's not coming out of WWE lately, then who is the one that's stopping it? There must be someone there that's stopping it. So, and now this is getting out of hand now. Now we're going from this, which could have been just a personal little spat the 2 people may have had over a disagreement about something. Now it's gone to, well, now look, Britt Baker caused Cody to leave. And now this happened. And this, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, this is why I've come to greatly detest a lot of, like Jeff called them, the news outlets per se. Because it's too much. There's times when you don't have a story, right? You're looking and digging for a story, and then you hit up these little, whoever they are, behind the scenes people and say, hey, what do you got for me? I'm having a rough day, man. I need some clicks. What do you got for me? What do you got? And then things like this come out. And it's like Jeff said, I'm sick of it. It's tiring already. And, I look, Britt is an original of this company. And, and look, maybe, and I know a person who met her. He's a big fan of her. She went to Penn State. So he's a big Penn Stater. He met her and he said she was wonderful. She talked to him about Penn State University. They talked about where they lived and stuff like that. He said she was great. So everyone's going to have an off day. Everyone's going to have a bad day. It happens. I go into work and I'm pissy sometimes too. And I talk to people and then, I either don't want to talk to people or maybe I'll be a little bit standoffish or something to someone. But yeah, it's just silliness, and it just creates clicks and likes and all this other stuff. And it's just, I don't know, whatever. I'm sure we'll hear more and more about this. If she doesn't show up on TV for a while, then okay, then she got suspended. But I'm sure there's no way she's going to be missing the match with Mercedes. There's no way that's going to happen because it's just too big of a match. I've met a bunch of wrestlers, and I usually don't tell these stories about the bad ones because depending on the day, you don't know what kind of day. Yeah, that's 100%.
Because we're all human, and we have good days and bad. If we had to do a show on Friday, I can go ahead and tell you now that my demeanor would have been a lot different. on Friday than it is today, even though I am sick as a dog right now, because I was highly, highly perturbed. I'm proud of myself, Joe, because I'm not dropping a lot of F-bombs. But I was highly perturbed on Friday because of something that happened at work. Having said that, yeah, I mean, I've run into wrestlers just because of my experience in the business. I've run into wrestlers backstage, doing different things, and I've had some great experiences with some wrestlers, and I've had some experiences with some wrestlers where I was like, man, if you didn't work for those three letters and I saw you out in the street, it'd be me and you, and it'd be mostly me. But that's just, people are human, man, and we have to give grace. And we also have to understand the circumstances surrounding it. So yeah, completely, Conrad. Definitely understand.
Yep. So, all right. Well, there you go. I'm sure this will be something we'll be hearing about in the near future, much like our next topic, which we're going to lead into as well.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, it's very similar.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon and AEW. I saw this and I thought, when I read about it again, I simply thought much ado about what probably is going to be nothing. He met up with Tony Khan, and the article said that they spoke a while and they had a lot in common and stuff like that. Okay, look, when you think about it, they're two sons of billionaires, right? So I would guess they would have a lot in common to talk about. They both ran, their own companies. They both ran wrestling companies. Shane was in charge of WWE at some point for a little bit. And I'm sure they probably did have a lot of stuff in common and a lot of stuff to discuss. That's two pretty big things that you have in common that you may not be able to share with others. Like, who can Shane talk to that's their father is a multi-billionaire? So maybe the two of them got together. And I'm sure that wrestling was probably discussed. I have no doubt of that. I'm sure they talked about both companies. I'm sure maybe Tony asked him for a little advice. Maybe he asked him, hey, Shane is, I think Shane's older. So maybe he just asked him for some advice and said, what are you going to do? Does it mean that Shane is going to AEW? No. Now, could he? I guess if he wanted to. I mean, he's not locked into anything. He's certainly not with WWE anymore, hasn't been. Would it be a huge story? Absolutely. And you know what? Here's my take on this. Conrad saying he's conflicted about it. You know what my take on this is, though? And Jeff, I don't know. Maybe you agree with me, because we've talked about AEW a lot on our show over the years. And I'm going to tell you, you know what, Jeff? I think this would be a good thing. I think this would be a damn good thing if he did go there. And you know why? Because of the stuff we were just talking about with Britt and all that other crap. I think Shane might be a little bit more knowledgeable about some of that stuff than Tony is. And I think maybe, because, and Jeff had said this time and time again, they need someone other than Tony who can put their foot down and say, this is how this is going to go. I do believe Shane McMahon could do that. We've seen him do it, and I do believe he can do it. I also believe he would earn the respect of the locker room. And so if that's what's going on, I think that's fantastic, because, to be honest, it'll create a lot of controversy for sure. You'll now have a much bigger fire stoked under a possible WWE, AEW, possible back and you won't have any back and forth, but the wars that are going on, right? And now WWE partnered with TNA, so it seems like they have a little bit of a thing going on. But him going there would create such a stir, and imagine he walks out on an episode of Dynamite and says, I am now AEW. I am AEW Dynamite and blah, blah, blah. I think that would be freaking true. That would stoke the fire even more. Competitive between the two. You thought Triple H was killing it now in some of the stuff that he does. He'd have to up his game a notch, as would Shawn Michaels. They would have to bring it because now they know that this guy who's done that before. I don't know. Who knows? I think it would be cool if it happened. And if that's what happened. Personally, I don't think that that's what's going to happen. Maybe they just spoke and had lunch and talked, and maybe he just talked to him about maybe he gave him some advice. Maybe he talked about little things like this Brit stuff and all this locker room stuff. And maybe he said to him, all right, well, and maybe Tony said to him, hey, give me some advice. Let me know what you would do in situations like this. And maybe that's all it was. And it could be fine. But Jeff, what have you got?
I'm gonna keep this short and not so sweet. I don't care. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't care to see. I don't care to see Shane McMahon in AEW. To be honest with you, I don't care to see Shane McMahon in WWE. I don't necessarily get the clamoring to have him to like pick his brain. I know that he's been around the business, and I know that he's definitely got the ties to the business. He's done a lot of interesting things in the business. But I don't know. Like I'm not. I could do without it, to be honest with you. I could take it or leave it. It's not gonna make me it's not gonna make me pop either way. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, that was stupid, or oh my God, that changes the game. I don't know that I will feel that way. Because there are a lot of different things that I've seen, a lot of different conversations that I've seen. Again, even though I'm not on Twitter anymore, I was on Twitter when this whole supposed war was going on, and people were bashing the other McMahon, and and Shane was getting lumped in to some of that hatred. And listen, the other one, I'm not going to say his name, but the other one, he earned every bit of vitriol that he received.
Mm-hmm.
Shane didn't have anything to do with that. So I just think for some of the people that were so quick to lump him in, and if you're a supporter of AEW and you were one of those people, my question to you is, what's changed between then and now that pops you and makes you think that this is good for the company? What do you think he brings to that company that benefits them in a way that changes some of the momentum? Kind of like Conrad said, he says, sad part is I like Shane, but I don't know what gets AEW momentum back. I think at this point, if you're AEW, you got to be honest with yourself and say, yeah, we've lost a lot of the juice that we had when we first, opened our doors, so to speak. Is Shane McMahon the guy that's going to bring that juice back? I don't know. For me, I'm just going to be straight up and say no. And honestly, I don't know what that is at this point. But to me, this is one of those deals where I can take it or leave it. And that's just kind of where I am with it.
I mean, Jeff, to your point, they did give Shane McMahon an hour of Raw. And
oh boy.
We all know where that went. Dabba-Kato bodyguard in front of his little UFC thing that he was trying to do. We know where that went, where that ended up going. So, yeah, his last track record, not exactly good.
Joe, I think I can hear where that went. Hold on one second. Hold on. Oh, cricket. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
That was during the time, Jeff, that we like to laugh about now that we were falling asleep when we'd watch Raw. When we were doing watch-alongs for Raw, that we would be catching ourselves like falling asleep. Yeah, that's not exactly a good track record for stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. Look, I could go either way with this, but yeah, I mean, look, fans like Conrad and obviously, Conrad does his show every week on AEW and stuff like that. Fans like that have been watching that faithfully since it started. And I imagine, what Conrad says, I'm sure is probably true of a lot of fans. Is that going to turn things around? I mean, again, look at the most recent work. Does that give you confidence? Probably not. So yeah, again, this is something else that ultimately I feel got made into a mountain that shouldn't have been. It happened. It was maybe used to get some attention. I don't know. But
Joe, I got a question for you, and I hate to even bring it up, but I feel like sometimes we have to call out the hypocrisy and the BS when we see it. But there are some folks out there who consider themselves very knowledgeable about the business, and I'll give them credit. Some of these voices are very knowledgeable about the business. But I heard one of these voices say something completely wild. They said, and I'm not even going to say who it was, because if you want to know, you can look it up. I'm sure you can find it by now. There was one person that said that this was Vince McMahon's ploy to buy AEW.
Oh my God. Oh man.
Now, I don't know what's legal in the state that this person is in terms of recreational drugs. But whatever it is, it must be pretty potent. I don't think that's the case at all. So I'll just say, if you're, let me put it like this. Let me stop. Conrad, you're the man.
Who said it, bro?
But let me say this: if you're a person who is praying for AEW's downfall, stop listening to that kind of crap, because that's exactly what that is crap. Okay? I think, like Joe said, people took this and they're making a mountain out of a molehill. And I just think that, let's see where it goes, if it goes anywhere at all. And again, there are meetings between people all the time who work for or are affiliated with rival companies, promotions, all that stuff. And let's stop acting like the connections between these two aren't a lot shorter than what we think. Just because they're, one was in WWE for a long time and has the history with that company, and the other one is with the rival promotion, don't think that these people don't talk. And for the other person who said that, bro, cut it out. Seriously, bro, cut it out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Look, it's again, that's why that's why Jeff put these two stories together, because it's nonsense, it's gossip, it's much ado about nothing, probably, and it's a way to get a headline, and so it's probably going to lead to nothing. But I think that true fans of AEW, like Conrad in our chat and others, probably have a little more concerning things to be concerned with than a little backstage tiff and a meeting for what looks to be a glass of Perrier or a cup of Perrier, whichever you want to say it, in an office somewhere. So, it is what it is. And I think that whichever it's going to be, let's just focus on the wrestling. Let's just focus on getting the wrestling better and making wrestling better, so that you're going to get asses in seats and fill up your arenas and get people watching the product. Because like Jeff said before and said many times, I don't want to see anybody fail. I don't. I don't want to see wrestlers lose their jobs. And if anybody's out there rooting for that, then you're an idiot. Like, and plain and simple, I don't want to see that happen. These people are all good at their jobs. They all do amazing work. I've talked about MJF on a high pedestal. I've said he's going to be around for the next 30, 40 years at the top of his game because he's that good. You know, Britt Baker seems to be amazing from what I've seen her. She's going to be around for a long time too. This is the future of the business. And if anybody's out there saying things derogatory, like, oh, AEW, like Jeff said, oh, AEW should just go under, screw you. Like, you don't, you know, do you sit in your house daily and root for factories to close? You know, so people lose jobs. Is that what you do? Like, I don't know. To me, it's just stupid. And this all falls into the category of why can't we all just get along? We're wrestling fans.
And Joe, a couple other things that I want to add. I'm talking way too much on this than I really want to, but couple things here. One, competition and more places to work is good for wrestling as a whole.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, if you are a primarily WWE only fan, what I will say is this: whether you want to admit it or not, whatever success or whatever hot streak you feel like WWE is on right now, I can directly correlate that to them having to step up their game because of the existence of AEW.
Yeah.
You can heap all the praise at Triple H's feet all you want to, and Shawn Michaels and whoever else, but let's be real. They had to step their game up because, like Joe mentioned earlier, we were doing watch-alongs for Raw, and there were at least 2 times that I'm going to admit that I darn near fell asleep because it was just that bad.
Yep.
And it's not like it was all that long ago, and it was pretty bad before that too. So they had to step up their game, and a lot of that can be directly related back to AEW's success and what they were doing, and kind of pushing. They brought this new energy to wrestling. And I think if you're a wrestling fan, you gotta be big enough to admit that, I think.
Yeah. 100% agreed. Competition breeds, what's the saying? Competition breeds. I can't remember the other part of it. Somebody in the chat will know. But look, he's 100% right. And I go back to those memories of doing those watch-alongs, and I sat here thinking, oh my God, is this over yet? I couldn't wait. Raw was awful. It was unwatchable. It was awful. So yeah, I agree 100%. 100%. Both of these little stories are probably absolutely nothing but headline grabbers, clickbaiters, and all this kind of stuff. And probably will be next to nothing in a month from now. So I don't know about anybody else, but I have this new fangled thing called the remote control. And if I don't want to watch something, let me change the channel. Yeah, well, that should be the logic behind it, bonus baby. However, you would think that people were literally had their heads glued to the TV and were forced to watch certain things, forced, or maybe held at gunpoint and I don't know, but you would think that would be the way it is. But yeah, that's not how it goes. Okay, competition breeds excellence. Yeah, very true, very true. All right, we're gonna move on to a happier topic.
Yeah, thank goodness. All right,
the man, the myth, the legend. We believe, man. What this guy is doing right now is just amazing. It's amazing. He's got freaking fans singing outside of airports and shit to him of his theme song. It's like, oh my, like, where did this guy come from? I liked him when I saw him, people, when he first came into Impact, he had been out in the indies doing stuff. And I remember a friend of mine showed me, Jeff probably did, showed me to go and watch some of these guys' old matches. And I went out and I watched it good because I remember him coming in Impact and he was doing his song thing. And I thought that was the greatest thing on earth. I think that's the funniest thing ever. I'm cracking up laughing. It makes me laugh, makes me happy. And then I go out and I look, and he did a thing with Big Show, and he did a song for him, and I'm dying. And ever since then, all right, I'm a fan. I love what he was doing in the ring. I love what he's. And then I watched him wrestle, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy can stand up the Moose. He's a big dude. And he's, and he's beating, Moose. He's beating, people in the ring. And then all of a sudden he decides, yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go record my theme song. I'm going to throw that up on Apple, and I'm going to see what I can do about getting on charts. What? Like, what? Who does that shit, right? Like, even, I Am a Real American probably made the charts, but that was only because that was selling albums and records back in the day. This guy goes and takes out freaking Taylor Swift, which is insane. Insane. This guy is self-marketing himself like I don't think anyone else I've ever seen. No, wait a minute. I'll correct myself on that. You know who I will compare him to? And it's not a wrestler. It's a rock band. My favorite rock band ever, Kiss. They marketed themselves better than anyone on earth as far as rock and roll and bands go. This guy is doing the exact damn same thing for himself. And look what he's doing. He's now gotten permission to be on 2 shows. He's on TNA and he's on NXT and can train in the Performance Center. People are looking up his contract. They said his contract's not expired in TNA until next year, Christmas of next year, 2025. So he's going to be doing this for God knows how long. He is now the bridge between 2 companies, 2 of the bigger company, and not smaller companies, like if it was Impact and GCW. No. He has bridged his own company with one of the biggest, if not the biggest, companies in wrestling. I mean, this guy is absolutely killing it. Like him or not, and I don't know how you can't like him. I am a fan. I think what he's doing is freaking amazing. And somebody even said it's historic, and it is. It's historic what he's doing. Sure, you can go back and you can look at the times when you had the independents, right? When you had the territories. Everybody went everywhere. That was different. It was a different era. We live in a much different era of professional wrestling where this stuff was taboo, except for when you had the ECW WWE thing happen. And that was only because they were buying them. So this stuff doesn't happen much. Now, yes, it's happening a little more with New Japan. New Japan and, of course, AEW with their combined pay-per-views and people going in and out of there. New Japan and TNA were working together and Impact were doing it. But what he's doing is just extremely unique. And this, I don't know where this leads. I don't know where they're going to go. Well, we're seeing where it's leading. It's helping TNA out big time. TNA is selling out pay-per-views. Their pay-per-view that they had in Canada sold out. 5,000, 6,000 seats. Now, some may laugh or scoff at that, but that's pretty big for them. And so that's what this guy is doing for them right now. Hats off to him. He knows how to sell himself. He knows how to market himself. And that, for a wrestler, is huge. Huge. Any of the retired wrestlers will tell you that. Any of them. And I cannot wait to see what he does next. And I'll tell you, I didn't watch NXT. I didn't. I've openly admitted that. I've said that to Tazzy. I've said it to Jeff. Guess what? I do now. And you know why? Right up on the screen. Jeff, it's all you.
Yeah, I think this guy, really looking at this age of wrestling, really in the social media, digital age of wrestling, he has done such a great job of utilizing platforms to get himself over. I think is absolutely tremendous. I can't wait to see what's next. I think the mark of this and the success of this, we'll be able to tell is if this translates to him being entered into the Royal Rumble. I think if we see that, then I think we know just where this guy stands in terms of how over he is and what WWE and I do think I will say I do think that when his contract is up, if they don't attempt to buy it out, I think WWE is going to come knocking, and they'd be crazy not to. I think if you're any wrestling company and you don't back the Brinks truck up and try to get this guy, I think you're missing out. But, I think what he's done has just been tremendous. So, kudos to Joe Hendry. Had I not been sick on Friday, I would have gotten a chance to see him up close and personal. But never fear, I got some other things worked out. So, but yeah, this dude is so over. It's not even funny. I mean, it's crazy. It just is crazy. And for anyone, I judge a lot, and this may sound a little bit weird, but I judge a lot on how my daughter views a wrestler as to how over they are. When Joe Hendry first in Impact, I would play his music. My daughter didn't want to hear it. And then one day, not too long ago, she looks at me and she whispers and she says, "Hey, Dad, I believe in Joe Hendry." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." You just got like the toughest critic to believe. So you know what? If he's good with my daughter, he's good with me. So shout out to him.
It's everywhere. It's in football stadiums, locker rooms. 2 random players from the Saints walked out in a camera saying, "I believe in Joe Hendry" before practice. I mean, this is what you have to do. This is a great example to younger wrestlers that are coming up in the world to watch. This is how you market yourself. You get yourself over. And, Bully Ray was talking about him, and he says it all the time. It is more important at least in where he's been, to get yourself over than it is to necessarily be a very good wrestler, which is crazy, but I can understand why. I'm thrilled to see the success he's having, and I can't wait to see what's next and in all this. And I do believe more than just in him, but I do believe he's going to see gold sometime soon. Yeah, I really do. He's going to get it. I know Nick Nemeth has it. I don't want to say Nick's going to have it for a short period of time or be a transitional champion, but I do, feel that Joe Hendry is going to get it. I'm super excited for his feud that's upcoming with Josh Alexander, and I feel that he and Josh are going to tear the houses down. They're going to be amazing matches. Everyone with Josh is an amazing match, but yeah, I'm super excited, and I believe. All right.
Yep.
We're moving on.
Well, I think we're going to be able to see how much more we believe at this event, which TNA announced on Thursday where Bound for Glory is going to be. So yeah, we got Bound for Glory coming up, Joe.
You gotta lose your mind in Detroit, Rock City. They are going to be in Detroit. They had that little sign up with the car and everything like that. And I'm thinking to myself before the show, I'm like, wait, they got a car there? Gotta be Detroit, right? But yes, they have announced that they are going to Detroit for Bound for Glory. First time they've been there, I think they've said, in a long, long time. So exciting. And I'm sure the city of Detroit is very excited for them to be there as well. They did announce the location. I can't remember off the top of my head. It might be in that little tiny
it's there. Let me
Fieldhouse, Wayne State University Fieldhouse. There you go.
Yeah.
So you guys can look that up and see how much it seats and all that kind of stuff. But whenever they are going somewhere new, somewhere different and stuff like that, it's exciting because they're not going for big 20,000 seat gyms. They're not going to do that. They're going to keep it small and sell out small places. And I'm fine with that. I don't need them selling out. I don't need them trying to go into a 25,000 seat arena and only sell half of it. I'm fine with them going to these smaller places, and I like the crowds there. I like the audiences. They're all hyped up, and they're selling out. And I have no doubt they're going to sell this out too, because they're on a roll. And guys like Joe Hendry, Jordan Grace, of course, for the women's, are selling these out because they're as good as they are. And so Bound for Glory is going to be awesome. It's the end of October. It's right around Halloween. I'm excited to see it. All the storylines are, of course, going to be headed there. We do have another smaller pay-per-view before that. I think it's Emergence.
Yep.
So we do have one still before this. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'm betting that they'll probably sell the place out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll sell it out. I feel pretty confident in saying that.
Yeah,
they will definitely sell it out.
Yep, absolutely.
Andrew Holt, and for those of you who have thrown out sell or no sells,
yes, yeah.
Please keep those in mind when we open it up for your sell or no sell topics. So
yep, we'll get there. All right, I think that's it. Yes, I think that's it for the news. We are going to skip grievances because really, Jeff had a bunch, but Jeff's got no voice to really do them, unfortunately. So Jeff will get to those the next time we see you guys.
Just know that it deals with media outlets and certain people thinking that they just own the ability to just say whatever and do whatever and not get called out. The other one had to do with, and I have COVID brain right now, so I apologize. That's a real thing, by the way. Anybody who says it's not, I challenge you on that. The other one had to do with just people just not being very, very kind about wrestling and wrestling fandom. And then I was also going to make create an analogy for you all that probably would have pissed a few people off. So I'll wait to do that one until I can actually defend myself. So.
All right, so no grievances. We're going to skip those this week. Like I said, we're going to make this a little quicker because Jeff's voice may not last for too much longer. So we are going to go into sell or no sell, as Jeff was just talking about. So we got some topics here for sell or no sell. Of course, you know how this goes. Sell if you agree, no sell if you don't. Let us know in the chat one way or the other. And then, of course, we have our third question that we'll get up there, which will be yours. So Andrew already has one up there. You can give us them as well as we get to the third one. That is going to be your topic. So shout them out, get them all on that wheel that Jeff's going to spin, and we will get started with topic number one. The Judgment Day is the modern version of the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club. Sell or no sell, guys? Let them know. Jeff, let you go first.
I'm gonna say no sell.
Okay.
I think obviously you got the parallel there because Finn, but I'm gonna say no sell. I think if we're being, I think they're more NWO than Bullet Club.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I think it's gonna be that may play out a little bit more as we get more with Rhea and Damian. If they add new members to their group, it's going to feel a lot like NWO Black and White versus NWO Wolfpack, I think. But that's me. I don't think it's a modern day version of the Bullet Club, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you and the chat on this. Yeah, I don't think so. I would agree on your assessment of NWO more. Yeah. Look, it's now Rhea and Damian on the outs, and everybody else seems to be in, right? And yeah, if you go back and you remember all the NWO stuff, and especially when, my God, you had a new member every single week, and then they split and they went to different colors and all that other kind of stuff. people got kicked out and brought in and kicked out and brought in, and it seemed like every single week. So I don't think they're going to get to that point either. But as for right now, it does seem like they're more of they're the heel NWO, they're the heel group, and Damian and Rhea are now on the outside looking in. So yeah, I don't see like the Bullet Club. No, I think it's Bullet Club's very different, I think, than this. But one thing I will say about that picture, my God, you can literally play like a xylophone on Finn's abs. It's like, dear Lord, man.
Yeah.
I mean, holy cow. So, but yeah, no sell on that. I think they're pretty different, I think, in my opinion. So, all right, let's see what we got. No sell from James. Seems like everybody's agreed on this. Conrad, no sell. Dylan, no sell. Brandon, no sell. Closer to the bloodline. Okay. James Grant says no sell. No sell. Bullet Club and NWO were half the roster. Judgment Day is what, 6-7 people. No sell, Andrew. I'll get to your topics in a second, guys. I'll get back to them. We can't do the spinner quite yet, so I'll get back to them after we do the next one. But I did see Bonus Baby has one. James Grant has one. And then, of course, we had the one from who gave the other one a little bit even earlier up. I forget now. But there was another one up there. So, okay. All right. So we'll go to the next one.
All right.
Topic
next
number 2. Roman Reigns. I wonder when he'll be back. He's got to be coming back soon. Roman is finally the draw as a face. WWE Vince attempted to push on fans for years. Wow, that's an interesting question. Roman is finally the draw as a face that Vince attempted to push on fans, or WWE/Vince attempted to push on fans for years. What goes around comes around. It's funny, isn't it? Jeff, what do you think?
I think it's almost too early to tell, but based on everything I've seen up to this point, so the 2 appearances that he's made, I'd say sell for now. That could all change, but I think given the responses that he's gotten from the crowd, shows just how much his previous story with the bloodline and seeing what Solo did to kind of steal the tribal chief title away from him. I think that's opened up a lot of people's eyes. And isn't it funny, Joe, how storytelling and compelling storytelling eliminates the need for you to shove something down people's throats and like spoon feed it to them. Like, people are just going to gravitate towards it given what he's done over the last 4 years and leading up to this point. It's all organic at this point. So I'm going to say sell for now.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to sell it. I look, of course, he's a very different character now. So I can't say it's the same one that they attempt to push on fans. But I mean, he did want everybody to love the guy. I mean, that's goes without saying. And a lot of people hated him because of that, because they felt like he was being pushed down their throats. This way is different. He's not, and he's what he is amazing in his job. He just played one of the biggest heels for the last how many years? People booing him out of the building when he would say acknowledge me. I mean, and now just in like that 2 months away from that, he became the person that everybody was cheering to come back. So that's pretty special. And again, not something you see often from heel turns or face turns. Sometimes it just doesn't work. But I'm a testament to it, because I wasn't a fan of his. I couldn't stand the dude. Like I could not stand him, and for the reason that's up in that question. I felt as if I was being told that you need to like this guy. And for that reason, I didn't like him because of that. I'm like, I don't want this. I don't like this dude. I don't think he should be pushed as much as he is. What gives him that right? Well, now I know he's earned it. And so I have much more respect for him than I did before. So yeah, I'm gonna sell it. I do believe that that he is that kind of draw. I believe this guy can, at this point, when you're a wrestler and you're a face or a heel, there are some wrestlers that are out there who can do no wrong, and there aren't many. Hogan was one of them. Facing. Now I'm talking in the wrestling world, not outside of it, of course.
Yeah, that man is a heel outside of wrestling.
Oh God, yeah.
That's a whole different story for another day.
Yes, there are only a few of them, and a lot of them are Mount Rushmore wrestlers. But I think, to me, I mean, even take a guy like Cody. Do you think Cody would really be beloved as a heel? I kind of don't. I see Cody being what he is. I can't see him heel turning. He even talked about that. Someone asked him about it on an interview show, saying that, do you see this happen, like lasting, like where you might have to change up things, you might have to turn. And he said he can't see it either, because he said he feels that the children who look up to him and all the ones that he's meeting on the sides of the arenas when he's coming down and signing their stuff. And he said, I can't even imagine what it would do to them. So don't ever think that Cody's probably going to turn heel, because probably ain't going to happen. Not many can do it and get away with it and do it well on both sides of the fence. Roman can. And so, yeah, I'm definitely a bigger fan of his than I was. So I know for me, yeah, I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell it.
Yeah, and I think the interesting point to add to all of that is that it's not that Roman is necessarily a face today.
Right.
It's just the fact that he's coming back. Solo took something that was his, and it just so happened to look like he helped Cody, but he didn't really help Cody. He's just doing that to screw over Solo. So it's not like he's necessarily a face, but at the same time, I think if he goes in that direction, it will continue to look like we've seen it, and he's going to get those pops, and they're going to be, I mean, people are going to buy his merch anyway, because one, it's just cool looking merch, but two, he's awesome. He's done a great job. So yeah, I completely, Joe.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Let's see what the chat's got. No, we favorite moments, Gus, we are going to skip, actually. And we're doing sell or no sell. We're doing a burning question, and then we're ending the show because we're getting Jeff out of here so he doesn't drain his entire voice. We have, let's see, sell or no sell. We have sell from James Grant. Sell so far that Roman established himself, says Andrew. No sell. Vince wanted Succotash to be the face and didn't plan for heel Roman to last that long. Sell because Roman dropping the title, Triple H taking over creative. Let's see. I'll leave anyone the office push they would have booed during the Gomez era, says Conrad. Big Dog, says Brandon Wayne Lewis. Sell, don't tell fans what they should like. Let the fans tell you what they like and go with that. Fans like to boo Dom, let them boo. Speaking of Cody and giving the fans what they want, what would the landscape be if Cody gave the AEW fans what they wanted in turn? Heel. All right, so there you go. They are the two. Now you know it is the class participation time. So give us one to put on the wheel. Jeff's gonna post them to the wheel, spin the wheel, and we're gonna choose the last one that you give us for our last sell or sell or no sell topic. All right. We have
got two so far. I've got Wyatt 6 are done with Chad Gable and the Creeds, Motor City Machine Guns to the TNA Hall of Fame, and that's what I have so far.
Okay, help us out, guys. We need how many more? We got 2. We need 6 more.
4, 5, 6. Yep.
All right, come on, guys. We need 6 more. 6 more topics. Let's have them coming. Let's see them fly here. Let's go. 6 more topics we need. AJ Styles will return to TNA at Bound for Glory from Conrad. Thank you, Conrad. I like it. Come on, guys. I know you can get me 5 more.
And Nick Nemeth has been talking about defending the title against him too, by the way.
Ooh, that'd be awesome. Come on, guys. 5 more we need. There's a lot of you out there. I know there are. So we need 5 more. I'm sure there are a lot of you watching over on Twitter, but I know there's more of you in the chat than just 5 people. So come on, don't be shy. Nothing is out of the realm of possibilities. Could be anything. We're not going to laugh at you. I promise. Don't make us have to give them all. Come on, guys. Jeff, I'll put one in there. Let's each put one in there for that. Joe Hendry will win the title before the end of 2024.
TNA title?
TNA title, yes. Joe Hendry will win the TNA title before the end of 2024.
Okay.
Brandon has one. Is WWE leaving? No, wait. My seller no sell is WWE leaving Fox opens the door for another pro wrestling organization to. Okay, so his is seller no sell. Another pro wrestling organization will attempt to join up with Fox now that WWE has left there.
Okay.
Bonkers has one. Jordan Grace is going on to NXT or WWE when her contract is up.
Okay.
Clown has one. Matt Cardona and Jimmy Lloyd versus Matt Hardy and Nick Gage at Hardcore Homecoming will be a contender for match of the year.
Okay.
Andrew Stevens, Bronson Reed will win IC or the World Heavyweight Championships within the next 12 months.
All right, and that's the last one.
All right. Thank you, guys. We got them all. Jeff is now going to spin the wheel and select one of the ones that were there.
Okay. All right, here we go. You just have to trust me. I'm spinning. Listen.
Jeff's spinning. Jeff
All right.
has spun the wheel.
So, I think it's kind of fitting that it lands on this one. Joe, sell or no sell, the Wyatt Six are done with Chad Gable and the Creed brothers.
It's actually a good question. I'm gonna no sell that. No, I don't think they're done quite yet. I think Chad Gable's the kind of guy that wants to keep doing stupid things that he really shouldn't do. And I think that there will be something else that'll come of that. I think that I mean Gable will say, "Oh, let's see you do that again without Howdy sitting down there," or something along those lines, as if Howdy caused them to lose at all. Or you may just say, "Oh, you did this, on a blah blah." Come up with some kind of dumb excuse. But I don't think they're done with him yet. I think that I don't know what they'll do. I don't know if they'll have just another, or they might say, "Well, hey, it was essentially 3-on-2 because Rowan was in there, so give us a fair fight. Let us have the Creed brothers against 2 of you, and we'll beat you," or something along those lines. So no, I don't think they're done yet. I think they're still going to keep going with that for a little bit. So yeah, Jeff, how about you?
I think until we get an Uncle Howdy, Chad Gable, or Bo Dallas, Chad Gable match, I don't think we're done. And I think we might actually get both. I think we might get a Bo Dallas and Chad Gable match first. And just going to throw this out there, it might be a possibility that Bo Dallas loses. And then we get Uncle Howdy and Chad, and then that's going to be a completely different story. But I don't think they're completely done just yet. I think we've got to get the leaders of the groups one-on-one before it's completely done.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's see what everybody says. Alexa Bliss Gamer says no sell. No, says Brandon Wayne Lewis. Derek, sorry I missed the show. No problem, dude. Was having some fun shopping in a retro store. I got a video to send. Oh, cool, nice. Sell, but they will revisit. Dylan says no sell. No sell Chad versus Howdy. He says bonkers. I'm not selling because they're likely to end with Gable versus Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas. I say protect both factions. Both are very new. Yeah, good point. No sell as of yet. Chad Gable and Uncle Howdy need to have a match. Okay, yeah, nice. A lot of you agree with Jeff. I would agree that that's probably where it's going. It's going to be interesting now, right? Tomorrow night, because we don't know what they're going to do. Like, there's no more videos to play. There's no more of that stuff. They're done with all that, the intros and everything. So we really don't know, like, what's next, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool not knowing. So. Mm-hmm. All right, that is the end of Sell or No Sell. We're moving on to our last segment of the night, and that is going to be the burning question of the week. The burning question of the week. It's hot in here. You can see that, right? Put your hands up, warm them by the fire. It's burning question of the week time. And
it's not just my fever.
No, it's not just Jeff's. I'm going to let poor Jeff answer first, so he can get his voice over with and done. So this is the burning question of the week. Why do you think Joe Hendry is so over? Right? We're talking about that. Maybe I don't get the appeal, but he is pretty undeniable. So why do you think this is more of a why question of the week? Why do you think he is as popular as he is? Like, what does it? Like, what if you're a fan of his? What does it for you? What makes you a fan of his? It's an interesting question. It's gonna make me think about it too, because it is a really kind of a weird question. Like, it does kind of make sense. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm curious to know what your answer is.
So I kind of talked about it a little bit before, but I think one of the things that has impressed me about him is that he's really embraced the digital aspects of marketing and how to get yourself over with a large group of people using what's available to everyone. Most everyone can create a Twitter account, Instagram, Facebook. So you see that. And I think, like Conrad saying here, the music, if you can take a popular song or someone's entrance music and you can remix it and throw jabs at somebody, especially a heel, and make fun of them, that's going to endear you to a lot of fans. And I think that's a part of it. And I think for most people who feel like he kind of came out of nowhere, that's one of the things. It's like all of a sudden I get to go along on the journey with this guy as he rises to this incredible level of stardom. I think that's a part of it too. People feel like they can jump on the bandwagon and be with this guy as he continues to elevate. People want to be along for those journeys. I think that's one of the reasons why people gravitated towards Cody so much during his run, his chase for the title, and in his feud with Roman and the Bloodline. So yeah, that's why I think he's so over. I think it's because he is just being authentically him and using every single avenue to flood the market and put his, whether it's his songs or whatever, put that in front of people's faces so you can't miss him. And now he's on 2 shows a week, so now you really can't miss him.
Yeah, I mean, look at the power of music and wrestling in history. And I'll still go back to this, and I say it all the time. I know what a crummy person Hulk Hogan is. However, if I hear that song, and it doesn't matter where I hear it, I still get chills. If I hear Real American, I still get chills. And it's because that's what happened when I was a kid. I can 100% understand the whole music thing for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's huge. This is why you become fans of artists or bands and stuff like that, because of the music that is in your life, the music that you listen to every single day, the music that you can listen to the same thing over and over and over again and never get sick of it. I also think I agree with Jeff about the marketing. Look, I started watching his the show that he does with the food testing thing, and he has people on, and he does stuff where he goes different places and eats and grades the food and all that kind of stuff. See, that's little kind of things that you do, like with that makes you more personable. He also tells people a little bit of the inside of his own story, how he, and now, my God, how could this not endear you to fans? He flies home every single week. And why does he fly home? To be with his dog. I mean, what does that get from people? Oh, right? Like, he goes home every single week, and he got permission to do that, to be with his dog. I mean, that's, how can you not love a dog lover? Like, I mean, you know, so a lot of all of this he's doing, right? Whatever he's making known to be public, he's coming off as not this. Now, Hogan's thing was he was a superhero. He came off as a superhero, right? That's how you're supposed to believe in this larger than life guy that crowds run around and chase when he's going down the street with the American flag. Joe's relatable, so there's a difference. You can relate to him because he just kind of seems like he, you know, yeah, he's a musician, and that's cool, and he makes fun of people, which is hilarious, but he does come off as like kind of an everyman. He's not built like Apollo, like Moose. He's not the biggest guy out there. He's probably not the fastest guy out there. He's probably not going to be a Josh Alexander ever as far as his matches are concerned. But he just has, and you know, growing up, people would say he has it. That's what I'm going to say here. I think he just has it. And whatever makes a wrestler popular, like, I mean, compared to MJF over in AEW, he can be the biggest dick, and it doesn't matter. People still love him. And that's the thing with this guy too. And he was a heel. Joe was a heel, and people still loved him. He's that kind of a guy. And I don't think he's at a point, I think, where he's in this business that whenever he wants to, and there's nothing he's going to do that's going to be wrong. He can screw over someone that everybody loves. And I just don't think that he's not ever going to be over with the fans. And it's just going to get more and more and more and more. And he earned it. He worked for it. He did. He worked for it. So obviously he had to learn how to play music, right? He had to learn how to be a musician. He had to learn how to write stuff. So yeah, it's that. Yeah, I think a lot of the reasons right there and everything Jeff said was the reason why I was personally drawn to him. So Joe Hendry, an example of using social media the right way. A catchy song also helps because everyone can sing it and meme it when someone claps. Absolutely. I think it's because it enthusiasts the crowd, or it gets the crowd enthusiastic. Yes. Joe's character is natural and genuine. Also, crossover appeal in using social media the right way. He watched what Elias did with music and how Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, Ethan Page, and Danhausen did on social media to build a shirt. Everyone has examples, Cloud. They all learn things from people. It's what you do with it. You can learn things all you want to, but are you going to do something with it? Are you going to take it by the reins and make it your own? Or are you just going to try to copy what they do? Because that'll come off as ingenuine. People will see right through that, especially wrestling fans will see right through that. And they'll be like, yeah, no, that doesn't work. So, well, I'm a cat lover, but dogs are cool, especially a husky. Scottish is a great accent for promos. Yeah, that doesn't hurt, right? The Scottish accent, yeah. All good, Brandon. No worries. All right. Okay, guys. Well, there you go. That is going to do it for us for tonight. Sorry about we're cutting it short, but again, you know, Jeff is fighting to just be here, and I appreciate him doing that. He certainly didn't have to, and he wanted to come out and do the show tonight. So I appreciate Jeff for doing that when he's not feeling well. I know that's hard to do, especially when you have something like COVID. I remember when I had it, I didn't even know, but my nose was running so bad, and I think I was doing a stream that night for TNA. That we were doing a pay-per-view, and I felt like garbage. So I can imagine Jeff's got it way worse than I had it. And so yeah. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for us for tonight. And we thank you all for coming out and joining us for this episode of Between the Ropes, and I'm sure there will be more to come. As I said, our next show will be Tuesday, and that will be Fireflies Forever. We'll talk way more about the Wyatt Six and see what they're up to. We'll talk about what they're going to do next. We'll probably find out tomorrow night on Raw. So join us for that Tuesday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, we will be back, and hopefully Jeff will feel much better by Thursday when we're back for our TNA watch along at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see about next Sunday. If there's nothing going on, like no pay-per-views or anything like that, we will be right back here with a longer version of Between the Ropes next Sunday night. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for coming out. As usual, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Drop a like on the stream. It helps us out big time. Share it as well. That helps out too. And that is going to be it. Have a great rest of your Sunday night and a great week to come. Enjoy the wrestling. Enjoy it for what it is. Have fun with it. Be kind to one another always. And hopefully we will see you all for our next show. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.